Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at excerpts from Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus.
Okay.
And, this book is about Elizabeth Zott, a brilliant chemist trying to, make her way in the world of science in the 1960s.
Right.
A world that wasn't really ready to accept women in science.
Yeah, it's interesting how Garmus sets the stage for that conflict right from the start. Even just the setting, the early 1960s.
Exactly. And then we're thrown right into the action with Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, picture this. She's 8 years old and jumps off a cliff
Oh, wow.
into a quarry because her brother dared her.
Okay.
What does that tell us about her?
Well, I think that scene shows her fearlessness.
Okay.
This is a girl who's going to take on anything.
Right. But does it also show a bit of recklessness?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
A disregard for conventional boundaries.
Yeah. And her upbringing probably didn't help.
Right.
I mean, with her father in jail and her mother in Brazil for tax evasion.
Yeah, and she lost her brother, too.
It's a lot for a young girl to handle.
Absolutely. And without that traditional family support, she had to become self-reliant to find strength within herself.
Yeah, it's like she built her own defenses.
Well, exactly.
Her own way of surviving in a world that didn't really care about her.
I like that.
And so we jump ahead to her adult life, and she becomes this incredible chemist. But instead of being in a lab, she ends up hosting a cooking show called Supper at 6.
It is kind of a strange turn of events.
Right. How did that even happen?
Well, remember how she got that job?
Let's see.
She borrowed some lab equipment.
Oh, right, from Calvin Evans.
The other chemist.
Who later becomes super important in her life.
Yeah, and it's almost like that act of, going against the rules of the lab. It foreshadows how she'll use Supper at 6.
How so?
She takes what's expected of her, a woman hosting a cooking show,
right,
and turns it into something completely unexpected.
Like she's hacking the system.
I like that, hacking the system.
Yeah, and she uses the show to really empower women.
Oh, absolutely.
She's not just giving recipes.
It's more than that.
Yeah, she's talking about food as brain fuel and how it brings families together.
Right.
Do you think that was her plan all along?
Well, Elizabeth is definitely strategic.
Yeah.
And she understands the limitations society puts on women. So by sneaking science into a cooking show, she's turning expectations upside down.
Ooh, I like that. Like a Trojan horse.
Exactly. Bringing science into homes disguised as entertainment.
So clever. And speaking of defying expectations, her relationship with Calvin is unconventional, to say the least.
Yeah, you're telling me.
They connect over their shared passion for research, spend late nights discussing work, even live together, which would have raised eyebrows back then.
Definitely. And think about it, their connection starts with their minds.
Yeah.
It challenges the typical romance of the time.
And living together in the early 60s. Pretty bold.
It makes you wonder, was their relationship a form of rebellion or just two people who understood each other finding solace in a world that didn't?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, their happiness doesn't last.
No, it doesn't.
Calvin dies tragically, leaving Elizabeth pregnant and alone.
That's when everything changes for her.
It really does.
Now she has to deal with not only losing Calvin, but being a single mother in a society that's already against her.
And it gets even harder for her at Hastings Research Institute.
Tell me about it.
She gets demoted to a lab technician and faces constant sexism and harassment.
Her experiences at Hastings really exposed the prejudice against women in science at the time.
It's like a constant uphill battle for her.
It is, and it shows that pursuing knowledge for women like Elizabeth came with a high price.
But she doesn't give up. She raises her daughter, Madeline, with this incredible scientific mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Encouraging her to question everything and think critically.
Madeline is such a fascinating character.
She is.
She's a direct result of Elizabeth's unique parenting style.
Yeah, she values curiosity and independence over what society expects from a young girl. And in the middle of all this, Supper at 6 becomes a phenomenon.
Who would have thought?
Right. Her mix of science and cooking captivates the nation.
Yeah, and she becomes this role model for women.
It's a true underdog story.
It is.
Yeah.
She faces obstacle after obstacle but comes out on top. And she uses this unexpected platform, a cooking show, to fight stereotypes.
Inspire a whole generation of women.
To go after their passions.
Now, we can't forget the supporting cast.
Of course not.
Like Harriet Sloan, the neighbor, who becomes Elizabeth's close friend and confidant.
Oh, she's so important.
She is. Elizabeth really needs that support.
Right. Harriet offers a listening ear, practical help. a sense of community.
Something Elizabeth really needs.
Yeah.
Then there's Walter Pine, the producer of Separate Six.
Oh, Walter.
Well, clueless sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, he's supportive of Elizabeth's vision for the show.
He's one of the good guys.
Yeah. He represents those few men willing to challenge the way things are.
Even if they don't fully get it.
Right. And we have Dr. Mason, who sees Elizabeth's rowing talent and encourages her to join his team.
He sees her potential beyond what society tries to impose.
Yeah, he champions her abilities in a field that's usually dominated by men.
Exactly.
So as we dig deeper into Elizabeth's story, it's clear it's about way more than just chemistry.
It's about life.
It's about societal expectations, gender discrimination, the importance of scientific thinking.
The power of resilience in the face of adversity.
And through Elizabeth's experiences, we get a glimpse into what it was like to be a woman in a world that wasn't ready for her brilliance.
It's a story that resonates even today.
It really does.
What's really interesting about Elizabeth's approach on Separate Six is how she refuses to simplify science for her audience.
It's revolutionary almost,
Yeah.
right? Explaining stoichiometry and covalent bonds while making cookies.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder how much she actually changed television back then.
Well, her impact is hard to measure, but she definitely brought science into people's homes in a way that had never been done before.
Yeah, and it was more than just the science. It was her personality.
Totally.
Her dry humor.
Yeah.
Those unexpected comparisons. Remember when she compared a chicken to a highly efficient society like Sweden?
Oh, yeah. To explain hydration.
Exactly.
That's what makes her so compelling. She's this brilliant scientist who's not afraid to be funny and a little quirky.
Yeah, she breaks the mold of that, serious and distant academic.
Right.
But while she's making waves on TV, her personal life takes a turn.
Oh, yeah.
We find out that Calvin, her soulmate, had a secret.
It's a bombshell.
Totally. It changes everything.
It does. The revelation of Calvin's illegitimate child and his hidden family history adds a whole new layer to their relationship.
It makes you question if Elizabeth really knew him at all.
Right.
To have this hidden part of his life come out after his death.
It must have been devastating.
And it really complicates their whole unconventional partnership.
For sure. It suddenly brings in all these societal expectations about family and legitimacy.
Which is exactly what Elizabeth has always tried to defy.
Exactly. And it exposes the hypocrisy of a society that judges Elizabeth for being an unwed mother while ignoring Calvin's past.
Speaking of defying societal norms, let's talk about Madeline.
Ah, Madeline.
She's not your average kid. Incredibly bright, logical, fiercely independent.
Just like her mother.
Right.
She's a product of Elizabeth's unique parenting. Raised on scientific thinking and encouraged to question everything.
Remember the incident with the family tree assignment at school?
Oh, yeah.
She refused to make up a family tree, even though it caused problems.
That was a powerful moment.
It shows how deeply Elizabeth's values have influenced her.
Yeah, and it highlights the struggles they both face trying to fit into societal expectations.
Madeline is kind of like a younger version of Elizabeth.
I see that.
Navigating a world that doesn't quite get her intelligence and her refusal to just accept things.
Right.
And as Madeline is dealing with all that it can take so, Elizabeth's career takes a hit when she speaks truth to power. The infamous poisonous mushroom episode.
Oh, yeah, where she compares additives in canned soup to toxic fungi.
Exactly. It shows her commitment to scientific accuracy.
And her willingness to challenge powerful interests.
Even if it risks her own success.
It's a bold move for sure.
It shows her belief that knowledge should be for everyone.
Right. Not just those who can afford healthier options.
And it resonates with viewers who are tired of being misled.
And want honest information.
But it also puts her at odds with the network.
Those executives who care more about money than public health.
And that leads to her downfall at the station.
It's classic David and Goliath.
Elizabeth representing reason and integrity against a system that rewards conformity and profit.
But it's also a turning point in the story.
How so?
Losing her job while a setback frees her from the limitations of network TV.
So she can find her own way.
Exactly.
Let's not forget the other characters who are part of Elizabeth's journey. Like Miss Frask, the secretary at Hastings.
Oh, Miss Frask.
She seems uptight at first.
A stickler for the rules.
Right. And kind of a thorn in Elizabeth's side.
But there's more to her than meets the eye. She's a woman who's had to survive in a system that undervalues women.
And she's developed her own ways of coping.
Remember when Elizabeth and Miss Frask share that unexpected moment in the restroom?
Oh, yeah. That was powerful.
It shows the shared experiences of women in a patriarchal society.
Regardless of their position or personality.
Right. It reminds us that everyone has their own struggles.
And it challenges us to see past stereotypes and recognize the humanity in everyone.
Even those who seem different from us.
It's about empathy and understanding, finding connection in unexpected places.
Speaking of unexpected connections, there's Elizabeth's dog, 630.
Oh, 630.
The dog who seems to understand chemistry.
It's never clear if he really gets it,
Right.
but he adds so much warmth and humor to the story.
He's more than just a pet.
Yeah.
He's a companion who loves Elizabeth unconditionally.
And offers a sense of normalcy in her chaotic life.
He's a constant in a world that often feels unpredictable.
And his ability to learn new tricks, like understanding chemical terms or becoming a rowing fan.
That's so...
It adds this touch of whimsy to the story.
It makes you wonder if we underestimate the intelligence of animals.
It's a question that Elizabeth, with her scientific mind, grapples with.
It's fascinating.
And it reminds us that there's still so much we don't know about the world.
Even in our own homes.
So we have Elizabeth, a brilliant chemist, challenging norms on TV. A daughter who's a scientific prodigy, a web of family secrets, and a dog who might be a genius.
It's a lot.
It is, but it's so engaging. And the humor woven throughout the story.
Oh, yeah. Garmus manages to address these serious issues like sexism, scientific integrity, societal hypocrisy with a lightness that makes the story both thought-provoking and entertaining.
It's a unique blend of social commentary, scientific exploration, and heartwarming moments.
You're left feeling both entertained and inspired.
As we head into the final part of Elizabeth's journey in our next deep dive.
I'm excited to see how it all comes together.
Okay, so last time we talked about how Elizabeth was at a real crossroads, fired from supper at 6.
Yeah.
Her reputation kind of tarnished for, speaking out against the food industry. Where does she even go from here?
It'd be easy to think that's it for her.
Well,
that she'll just disappear from public life and, resign herself to obscurity.
But that's not Elizabeth Zott.
No, it's not.
She doesn't give up that easily.
Not at all.
So remember that scientific paper she'd been working on?
The one about abiogenesis?
Yeah, the one she couldn't get published in any academic journal.
Oh, right. Her research on the origins of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A pretty bold and controversial theory, especially back then.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't give up on it.
What does she do?
She submits it to a really unexpected publication.
Not Nature or Science, I'm guessing.
Nope, Vogue.
Vogue. The fashion magazine.
Yep.
Wow. That's a bold move.
But it's brilliant. Elizabeth realizes that science isn't just for the elite.
Right.
It's for everyone.
And Vogue has a huge audience.
Exactly. By publishing there, she makes her research accessible to way more people.
It's like she's challenging the traditional gatekeepers of science.
Totally. It's like she's saying, hey, science isn't just for men in ivory towers. It's for anyone who's curious about the world.
I love that.
And the response is amazing.
Tell me about it.
People are fascinated by her writing. It's clear, engaging, and passionate.
And she explains complex ideas in a way that's both informative and fun.
Exactly. It proves that when you make knowledge accessible, people want it. They want to understand the world.
Absolutely.
And they appreciate someone who can explain it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But her article doesn't just get people interested in science.
This is more.
It sparks a national conversation about the role of women in STEM.
Wow.
The importance of challenging norms and the power of resilience.
She becomes this unexpected feminist icon.
She does. Inspiring women all over the country to chase their dreams.
And break down those barriers.
It all comes back to that fearlessness we were talking about.
Right.
She takes a risk, a leap of faith, and it pays off in ways no one could have imagined.
It's pretty incredible.
And we can't forget about Harriet.
Oh, yeah. Harriet's a rock star in this part of the story.
She is. She's more than just a friend to Elizabeth.
She's like her manager, almost.
Right. She's a savvy businesswoman, and she sees the potential in Elizabeth's story.
And she works hard to promote her and get her new opportunities.
Harriet grows a lot throughout the story, too.
Yeah, she does.
She starts off relying on those women's magazines for advice.
But she ends up being this strong and resourceful advocate for Elizabeth.
It's a great example of female friendship.
It is. They support each other, challenge each other, and celebrate each other's successes.
It shows that we all need people in our corner.
Absolutely. People who believe in us and push us to be our best.
But Lessons in Chemistry isn't just about individual wins.
Right.
It's about the power of collective action, too. Remember when Elizabeth meets the Norwegian women's rowing team?
Oh, yeah.
That's such a powerful scene.
It is.
Elizabeth realizes she's not alone in her fight.
Other women are out there breaking boundaries and challenging the status quo.
It gives her a new sense of purpose, a feeling of solidarity.
Yeah, she's not just fighting for herself anymore.
Right. She's fighting for all women who've been overlooked and underestimated.
It's a powerful moment.
Now, about the ending of the book.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil too much.
Right.
But Elizabeth gets a kind of justice and recognition.
That's good to hear.
It's a satisfying ending. But it makes you want more.
Of course.
It makes you wonder what Elizabeth Zott would be doing if she were alive today.
Oh, I love that question.
What scientific mysteries would she be solving?
What norms would she be challenging?
Would she be leading the fight against climate change? Developing new technologies?
Maybe she'd be back on TV, hosting a show that combines molecular gastronomy with social commentary.
Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
They are. But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
Elizabeth Zott's legacy lives on. Her story keeps inspiring us to think critically, to challenge the way things are.
And to never give up on our dreams.
No matter how unconventional they might seem.
So if you haven't already read Lessons in Chemistry, I highly recommend it.
It's a must-read.
It's funny, thought-provoking, and ultimately heartwarming.
You'll be thinking about it long after you finish it.
And it reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge and equality is a journey worth taking.
No matter the obstacles we face.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Lessons in Chemistry.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed exploring Elizabeth Zott's world and the lessons she has to teach us.
Until next time, keep those minds curious.
Keep diving deep.